Why is nobody talking about this? Mikal Bridges for the last few weeks has been under the microscope with his play and being labeled the third option. But I'm going to bring up the question that nobody has asked. Why isn't OG Anunoby looked at as the third option? What's up, guys? It's your boy, Dariel. Let's get right into today's video. So today's video is going to be more of a stream of consciousness, if anything. And I tend to put out these videos every once in a while. I watch different podcasts from retired NBA players to just all their NBA media members. And when they start talking about the Knicks, it really gets my mind to start racing, and it gets me to start thinking about different storylines within the season. It gets me to think about different players. And one of the things that I heard more recently, it got me to think about Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Mikal Bridges, man, for most of the season, like, he's been getting a lot of flack. Now, rightfully so. I understand why with what we gave up for Mikal Bridges, 5 first-round pick, Bogdanovich, and we were kind of hoping that you were going to be, speaking of Mikal, we were kind of hoping that you were going to be the solidified third option, especially with how you played during that season and a half with the Brooklyn Nets. The first season, it was half a season because they traded Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns, and that's how we got to Brooklyn. And the half of that season, they were able to get to the playoffs, and I think they got swept in the first round by Philly. But there were glimpses of Mikal Bridges being the number one option, and can he really do it? And then the following season, he was the number one option for the Brooklyn Nets, and he had an entire season being the number one option with the Brooklyn Nets. But that season didn't go as planned, as a lot of people thought. And then the Knicks gave up those 5 first-round picks to acquire him. And the expectation of fans was kind of like, we're not necessarily asking you to be the number 1 or 2 option, but I think it's fair to say that we think you could be the third option. And for the season, it's just looking like, and it's feeling like, he's really in the corner and he's just waiting for Cat and Jalen Brunson to just do their thing with their pick and roll and pick and pop. And he's not really a part of the offense. Now, some of that blame could be put on Coach Tibbs with his coaching philosophy. But me personally, I'm always going to be pointing at the player. If you're a player and you're on the court, you should be wanting the ball at all times. You should be wanting the ball in order to create a play for yourself, or you should be wanting the ball to create a play for others. Just be a part of the action. Be a part of the team. And I don't know, maybe Mikal Bridges is feeling like it's kind of just feeling his way, but we're already like, well, what? Every team has anywhere between 10 to 15 games remaining in the season and the playoffs start. Like, I think we're way past that. I think that conversation should have been around a little bit before the All-Star break. Like, the conversation of Mikal Bridges is maybe just feeling his way through the season. But with 10 to 15 games remaining in the season, going into the playoffs, like, that ship has sailed, and we're at a point where we need Mikal Bridges to be an essential part of the offense. But now focusing on OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby signing last offseason, that 5-year, $212.5 million contract. I think OG Anunoby deserves to be put a little bit more under the microscope because of the contract, because he has the ability to be one of the 3 best players on a winning team. If you have the skills and you have the talent, like, why aren't you part of the conversation? The conversation is so focused on Mikal Bridges. Now, granted, he kind of put it on himself when that was a week ago now against the Portland Trail Blazers, where that article came out talking about the minutes and the conversation that he had with Coach Tibbs. So I feel like that really put a spotlight on Mikal Bridges. But if you're a Knicks fan and you've been watching the games, ever since we got OG Anunoby, ever since we acquired him, you've seen what he's able to produce for the team. Like, I think it's a fair question to bring up. Like, why isn't OG Anunoby really brought up in the conversation as being a third option? Why is it always just Mikal Bridges? And the only thing that I can really come up with as to why not is just, honestly, just what we gave up for Mikal Bridges. But if we're looking at it objectively, let's take a look at the numbers for the season. So for Mikal Bridges, you see the numbers for points, rebounds, and assists. We're looking at the field goal percentage. We're looking at the 3-point field goal percentage. And I'm also going to be looking at, which the graphic doesn't show you here, but I'm going to be talking to you guys about the amount of shots that they're taking from regular field goals and 3-point field goals, because I think that's important in order to bring context to this conversation. But if we're just taking these numbers at face value, 17.7, 18 points, if you will, if you want to round up, 18 points, 3.3 rebounds, and assists per game, 3.5 assists per game. Now let's look at OG Anunoby's numbers for the season. So Mikal Bridges was at 18. OG Anunoby for the season, 16.8. Let's round that up to 7. Rebounds, we're looking at 4.8. Assists, 2.2. The field goal percentage and the 3-point field goal percentage, you can take a look right there as well. Okay, so if we're comparing these two players and the numbers, they're not that far off. But if we go back to Mikal Bridges and we look at the field goal percentage, 49% from the field for Mikal Bridges and 35% from 3-point. So the field goal percentage is 49%, but that is on 7.2 field goals made on 14.6 field goals attempted. 3-pointers, the percentage is 35%, and that is on 2.1 3-pointers made on 5.9, which is basically 6 3-points attempted. So OG Anunoby, the field goal percentage, to remind you guys, 46%. That is 6.2 field goals made on 13.3 field goals attempted. 3-pointers, the 3-point field goal percentage is 36%, and it is 2.2 3-pointers made on 6.1 3-points attempted. So again, the numbers, they're not that far off. But what numbers I also want to look at, which I think will even bring better context to this conversation, what about the games that Jalen Brunson wasn't playing? Because Jalen Brunson not being in the lineup, I feel like that's going to give us a better gauge of how aggressive Mikal was, how aggressive OG was, what the productivity looked like. And what we can also see is what would it look like if the number one best player on our team was just not there to set up everybody? What if Jalen Brunson wasn't there? What would it look like with Jalen Brunson not being there? How would OG Anunoby, how would Mikal Bridges, how would they try and get their offense? And what did their offense actually look like? So let's start off with Mikal Bridges. So it's been 8 games so far that Jalen Brunson hasn't played. So for the 8 games, Mikal Bridges averaged 22 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. So 22 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. OG Anunoby in those same 8 games averaged 19 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 2.8 assists. Again, the numbers, they're not that far off from each other. It's not like OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges is having a super higher efficient rating than the other player. But breaking it down specifically into each game, so the first game without Jalen Brunson, we got the Clippers, which is the night right after Jalen Brunson hurt his ankle against the Lakers. We got 22 points. We got 8 of 12 from the field for Mikal Bridges. We got 0 of 1 from the 3-point line. The game after that, we got the Sacramento Kings. We got 15 points from Mikal Bridges, 6 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3-point line. And then it was Portland. That is Mikal Bridges pretty much, that's him shutting everybody up, specifically with that whole conversation about the minutes. And he hit that game-winning buzzer-beater shot. He ended the game with 33 points, 13 of 21, 2 of 4 from 3-point line. This was the remaining games that I talk about, this is like the crescendo of Mikal Bridges' output. The game after the Portland Trail Blazers was the Golden State Warriors, 19 points, 8 of 14 from the floor, 1 of 3 from 3-point line. And then against the Miami Heat, 28 points, 10 of 14 from the floor, 4 of 6 from 3-point line. And then earlier this week, the San Antonio Spurs, 14 points, 5 of 13 from the floor, 1 of 4 from 3-point line. Charlotte Hornets, 16 points, 5 of 11 from the floor, 0 of 4 from 3-point line. And then yesterday, he ended the game with 27 points, 10 of 20 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3-point line. As far as like efficiency, the Washington Wizards game yesterday, 100%. I'm recording this on Sunday. By the time this comes out, it may be towards the middle of the week. But anyway, that game against the Washington Wizards on Saturday, as far as efficiency, that 100% was his best game. We're looking at 50% from the field, and we're looking at 50% from 3-point line. But as far as impact on the game, my personal opinion, I think that Portland game, with all the noise around him, with the minutes conversation with Coach Tibbs, and then to go into Portland and hit that game-winning buzzer-beater shot, I think that was his best game in the 8-game stretch that we're talking about right here. Okay, so I gave you all the numbers with Mikal Bridges. Now OG Anunoby, and we're going to start the same. We're starting with the game against the Clippers the night after Jalen Brunson rolled his ankle. The first game, 11 points, 4 of 15 from the floor, 26%, 2 of 8 from 3-point line. And then the next game against the Sacramento Kings, 24 points, 7 of 15 from the floor, 3 of 7 from 3-point line. The next game against the Portland Trail Blazers, 23 points, 8 of 20 from the field, not great. 3 of 8 from three-point line. The Golden State Warriors, which is after that, 23 points, 7 of 15, 2 of 3 from three-point line. And then against the Miami Heat, which this 100% is his worst game, 9 points, 3 of 13 from the floor, 23%, not great. 1 of 6 from the three-point line, not great as well. San Antonio Spurs, 14 points, 5 of 15 from the floor, 2 of 6 from three-point line. The Charlotte Hornets, this is where OG Anunoby starts coming into form. 25 points, 7 of 19 from the floor, 3 of 12 from three-point line. That's not great. And then the more recent game against the Washington Wizards, 23 points, 8 of 12 from the floor, 4 of 5 from three-point line. So comparing the same 8 games from Mikal Bridges to OG Anunoby, they both had around like 3 games that were kind of like disappointing. OG Anunoby's 3 games, in my opinion, was the first game against the Clippers. I'm going to repeat it again. 11 points, 4 of 15 from the floor, 2 of 8 from three-point line. That was a bit of a disappointing game. Against the Miami Heat, 9 points, 3 of 13 from the floor, 1 of 6 from three-point line. 100%, that's a bit of a disappointment. Against the San Antonio Spurs, 14 points, 5 of 15 from the floor, 2 of 6 from three-point line. Those were the 3 games that definitely put a dent in OG Anunoby within these 8 games. Mikal Bridges, again, around the same thing. 3 games, we're looking at 14 points against the San Antonio Spurs, 5 of 13 from the floor, 1 of 4 from three-point line. We're looking at the Charlotte Hornets, 16 points, 5 of 11 from the field, 0 of 4 from three-point line. Sacramento Kings, 15 points, 6 of 10, 1 of 3 from three-point line. It's just interesting to look at all these numbers, like between Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby for the season. Throughout this 8-game stretch, like they're very compatible. Again, neither one of Mikal or OG Anunoby, nobody is averaging way more points. Nobody is having such more of a offensive output than the other. But yeah, man, like I just wanted to bring up the conversation, and I just wanted to bring up the topic of like OG Anunoby. I think we should put a little bit more under the microscope of being that third option. Like, OG Anunoby has the talent, he has the skills in order to do it. So why isn't he put in that conversation? And maybe Mikal Bridges, maybe this is who he is. Maybe next season we'll see a little bit of a difference with Mikal Bridges, being more aggressive, looking for his shot, looking for the ball a lot more. Of course, there's chemistry that you need to take into account. The more time you have, the more chemistry you're going to be able to build with everybody else. So maybe that's something that us Knicks fans, we just got to be patient with. But to wrap it up, I think that third option, for this season only, I think that third option is going to be more of a committee thing, if anything. I don't think we can expect Mikal Bridges to 100% solidify him as being the third option, nor OG Anunoby. I don't think that we can point to him and just say that he's our third option. I think if anything is going to be more done by a committee, where it's Mikal, OG, Deuce, Josh Hart. I think they're going to be the ones to really come together to really help Cat and Jalen Brunson. But of course, I definitely see everything on the internet. I see the frustration from Knicks fans. I see what the NBA media is talking about. Whenever they do talk about the Knicks, they always bring up Mikal Bridges. So I just wanted to throw a monkey wrench in the conversation. I wanted to play devil's advocate, but I just wanted to bring this to you guys. So leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about OG Anunoby being more of a third option than Mikal Bridges. Do you think that's how it should have been? Do you think Mikal Bridges is deserving of getting all the flack for not playing like a third option? Do you guys agree with me that that third option is going to be more of a committee-done thing rather than appointing a singular player? But leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. And until next time, you know the drill. You know the vibes. I'm going to keep it short because this video was a bit lengthy. And I'm out of here, baby. Queens all day. Queens get the money. You know what it is. Queens, I'm out. Peace.